Nearly 3 weeks after the mini-submersible Titan imploded, killing all 5 people on board, the company that operated it, OceanGate, has reportedly suspended all exploration and commercial operations. Since 2009, OceanGate has been taking tourists to the depths of the ocean for a close-up look at shipwrecks and underwater canyons. Last week, though, the debris that was recovered from the area close to the Titanic, which we presume contains human remains, was returned to a port in the United States. It is now part of the ongoing investigation. Let's speak to our reporter Sean Dilley, who's in Washington. Just remind us, Sean, of the timeline, because there were safety concerns about the submersible long before this accident.
There were a couple of employees in particular among those, one anonymous. The other one was some years ago, it's historical. Chief director of the company had taken legal action that was dismissed in November 2018. But Stockton Rush, the late chief executive who was among the passengers who died, had also said that people are remembered for the rules they break. Very sad indeed. Just to remind our audience of a little bit of the timeline here. Friday the 16th, this was when the ship had set off from St John's Harbour in Newfoundland. It was carried on a ship called the Polar Prince by Horizon Maritime. Sunday the 18th, that was when it began its mission down into the Atlantic Ocean, 400 miles away from St John's nautical miles. Now that whole mission was slated to last for 8 hours, a couple of hours down, 4 hours on the surface looking at that wreckage and then ascending back up. But after having started its descent at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, 9:45 in the morning, 1 hour 45 minutes later, that's when it lost its communication, which it never re-established. It wasn't for some hours later that that vessel had been formally reported missing. Spinning on to Monday the 19th, an international search and rescue mission was launched. The Canadian and US Coast Guards working in partnership initially, private companies along with countries such as Britain and France, throwing some significant resources. Just 96 hours of oxygen on that submersible at the point that it dived. So as you can imagine, it was considered to be very urgent with many resources deployed. Tuesday the 20th, that was when a Canadian P-3 aircraft had given some hope to rescuers. Could it be that there were people banging on board sending a signal? That was the speculation at the time, that they had been signalling for help. Unfortunately, that it was on the 22nd, which was Thursday, that the US Coast Guard, with sadness, had announced that that rescue mission had ended. They said that all 5 souls they believed at that point had died as a result of a catastrophic implosion, which was later confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose amid the investigation and all the questions that there are, Sean, about corporate culpability, many people would probably think that the company wasn't tenable. So what does this mean then for the future of oceanic exploration? Because really they were the only company that was doing this.
Yeah, I mean, it's very sad, and this was to some extent an inevitable announcement. James Cameron, the Titanic director, among those speaking to BBC News and other networks later after the BBC, he himself has been exploring for many years. So it's not, it's not new that there would be exploration. Obviously, Stockton Rush was very much seen, and we have to remember, of course, he was among the 5 passengers. So we'd be respectful in saying that he was seen as very much a maverick, a renegade, somebody who initially wanted to be an astronaut. He wanted to explore the surface of Mars, eventually concluding, well, that's not something that was going to be possible without more of a commercial interest, he felt, by governments. So he pressed forward. He was ignoring safety warnings by his own admission that you shouldn't use carbon fibre to build such a submersible. Well, that was something that he said he dismissed. Again, I remind you what I said at the beginning of this chat, actually, is that, to quote him, people are remembered for the rules they break. And in this case, it's a very sad legacy for a man who died alongside 4 other passengers, each of whom paid $250,000 for that ill-fated mission.
Sean Dilley in Washington, thank you very much.